have a video here of me putting the transmission back together. I didn't record everything like I wanted to, so I didn't actually show me putting the top half back on. But this video is going to be very similar to when I was showing the underbody work that I was doing to the car. I have a video here pre-made already. It's an hour and 32 minutes, and I don't want to have you guys suffer through that long, so I'm kind of just going to skim through it, go over a couple things that I'm doing, and hopefully you guys enjoy. So right here in the beginning, it's just me cleaning some things up. I'm cleaning that bolt up there. I'm pretty much going to clean up all this stuff. So that bolt's going to go right here, actually, that holds down that main shaft that goes in there. But I don't have anything in there right now. I used a lot of brake clean to clean this out, make sure everything was nice and dry. Then I started lubing everything up with some 6-speed transmission fluid. So we'll just skim a little bit forward on here. Be inspecting some stuff. You saw that brake clean I just sprayed in there again to clean it up, blowing it out. And then there's me putting some 6-speed and putting that seal in there on that input shaft. So I try to place it in there as flat as I can, and then I used a big socket that I have here. And you can just tap her down. I didn't strike it too hard, just to get it seated nice and flat and flush with the rest of the case. So I just go over and triple check that everything's flush. Once I hear that ting, and of course you know it's pretty much flush because that socket's hitting that metal. So go on from that. Again, cleaning some stuff up, any debris I had in there. Put some 6-speed on that inner bearing race there, where the differential sits. Spreading it around. And that, I was just cleaning up a little inspection hole right there, I do believe, with some abrasive there. Alright, I didn't show me putting the diff in there, but obviously the diff's in there. I have the input shaft here. This is actually my old input shaft. I ended up taking all of the gears and everything off of this because I noticed, I don't remember if it was this side or the other side, there was a chip right on the edge, and of course I didn't want to put that back in the car. So I don't think at this point I had seen it yet, that's why I'm lubing it up and I'm about to throw it in there, but I do end up replacing it. I mean, you can see on here right now I don't have probably 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th on there. So and this was just me mocking everything up because at this point I had already ordered the new input shaft, so I had pulled all the gears off, as you can see, and I was using my handy dandy service manual there. So I was just lining everything up, making sure I had everything in order, all the parts that I needed, and nothing was missing while I was waiting on that input shaft. And looking at it here, going from top to bottom, it's probably 3rd, 4th, and then 5th and 6th are over here. See, I just dropped those right on top of those needle bearings there. And then I pretty much just left it, covered it up, and waited for that new input shaft. There's the input shaft right there. Brand spanking new. Looks all nice and pretty. And I'm moving all this stuff up to press on the new gears. Well, not new gears, the old gears onto the new input shaft. And at the end here, I do kind of screw it up, so I think I just messed up with the synchronizer springs. Third gear going on. Synchro. I think I mentioned before I did put brand new carbon synchros on here from Synchrotech. So there's that hub and sleeve and fourth gear, and you can see the spring already starting to come off there. That one was a pain in the butt trying to keep that sleeve on there without popping the springs loose again. I did that a couple times actually when I was putting this thing back together. It's an easy fix, it's just annoying sometimes. But again, I don't think I show myself pressing on 5th and 6th, but it was very simple pressing that stuff on there. I mean, get it pressed, make sure everything's lined up correctly, and just pump her down. If it feels real tight and like it's not moving, then obviously you want to stop. So I think I had heated it up that way it would slide on easier, and then I messed it up anyways. So and here's me and my buddy Colby. He helped me put it back together. You can see the main and the input shaft are in there, and we had a heck of a time since it was my first time tearing apart a transmission and putting it back together. We had a heck of a time figuring this thing out. I think I had to take it apart again after I had it back together. I didn't have to take the input shaft and the main shaft out, but I did end up having to pull these forks out and everything again. I think I ended up putting on one of these backwards. This one is straightforward. It only goes one way, but I think it was the one that went either here or here I had on backwards. And you got to make sure there's balls and detents and stuff that go all through here and through here. And you got to follow the instruction manual and make sure everything goes in the correct way. You can probably hear us talking about it here in a little bit.
What is it then? 13?
You can see this is one.
You see a 13 mil.
This is one of the holes where you put some of the balls and detents in, and there's another one right here. Just fast forward through there, so you can see right here. We put that first one in there, and it's a kind of a long detent that slides all the way through, so that's why I have that punch in there to push it through. See it come through right there. And I didn't want to mess anything up, so I ended up pulling out a piece of aluminum TIG filler and pushed her all the way through. And then that's pretty much where that one sits. I have a whole lot of filler in here that I didn't realize I did. We were just sitting around. Now this was fun too. Again, this is us trying to figure out how it went on there the right way. There's some C-clamps or C-clips on here pretty much that we knocked off in order to be able to slide that shaft through there and then slide the other pieces on. So we probably did this the hard way, but we got it all back together eventually.
through these holes, so it's gotta go in that way. Right?
Unless I can finagle it out of that hole.
How'd you take it apart?
So you can see us sitting here bumping our heads. He just asked me how I took it apart, but of course, I took pictures, but it doesn't exactly, represent how I took this stuff apart. So. We're off to the side now, taking those C-clips off of that shaft there. And I almost got that fork off there. I also end up having to take off this other piece in here. This one right here. That goes to the shifter. We were having a heck of a time getting this in here, and it took us forever to figure out. You have to pull up a little bit on this for that first detent we put in there to move over a little bit, and then you can slide that in there. So everything works in tandem. I think he finds it right here.
Oh, it's a pin. The pin's holding it up.
See, he just said the pin's holding it up.
This piece.
Oh.
See how I moved that up and it moved over? Sorry, my head's in the way. But I'm holding this fork up, or this shaft up, because once I used that filler rod to push that pin over, put a little pressure on it, move this up, and then it moved over. And then that's going to allow us to drop that in there now.
Yep, alright, you're right. You're right, you're the right guy.
He had told me earlier that I had to take something apart in order to get it to work right. So that's why he was looking at me like that. Anyways, yank that back off. He ended up taking that all apart off to the side there. And now we're trying to set it up.
Where's the other one at? Which one's that one? Oh, yeah.
And I think this, either the shaft or something in here had a little bit of a burr on it, so it was a little rough getting her on there. Eventually got it to go through. And there's a little ball that sits in there too. That's what you see him right here. He was pushing that. First detent through again so that this will slide down. And then I was knocking in those C-clips there. That way they were set. Again, I was probably doing this the hardest way possible. Like I said, I've never put one together before.
Is there a pin that goes in here?
Yeah, I can get those left.
So moving right along here. Showing that reverse one there. We were talking about it. That one goes last, so I'm not really going to go over that. Let's see here. Here's that other one right here.
It's gotta go towards the walls though, right? If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Again, I was sitting here contemplating, trying to figure out how to put this thing together.
How you gonna get that from the big hole? That goes up below this.
We're gonna have to take both of them off.
How else you gonna get it through there?
That's a big hole.
This is, again, this has gotta go here.
Oh, that's gotta go there. Okay.
Like that.
Don't holler at me.
And you can see, I think this is probably the piece I put on backwards because I end up having to take this apart again. I don't remember which way that went, so
Yeah.
the more you know here. See, I think I put it on upside down right now. I don't even remember. I was looking at the diagram, and if you look at the diagram, it looked like it went one way, and it ended up being the complete opposite, so scrub through this. Throw, man, I just have my head all in the way. Throw another D10 in there, I do believe. Or no, I was trying to get that one out. See that ball there. Pushing a D10 in, or a ball in. And we're lining everything up here. And again, right here is where we were messing with that daggone synchro spring again, that I let it pop out. We ended up getting that fixed again. It fit in there perfect. I was being very careful not to mar anything up, by the way. I know it looks like I'm jacking some stuff up, but I ended up not hurting or breaking anything. Man, we spent a lot of time on that. So we finally got her figured out. We're moving on. Working on that last one now. And this, see, you gotta be careful with how these little slots here sit. That's one thing you gotta pay attention to when you're putting everything back together, because those little balls and things that we were sliding through here are what presses up against these and will allow you to shift to particular gears and whatnot. So
Oh, yeah.
see, I already forgot to put that other part of the shifter for the shift linkage or whatever it is on there.
Pop that ball back.
Fast forward a little.
You put this one like that?
Yeah. No, I was talking about all of them. No?
So thought we had her all together good. Putting that reverse in there. Everything lined up pretty good, it looked like. Throwing in another ball in there. And one more long piece. And we're going to work on this one. There's another ball that goes in there. Let's see it. Let me see if I can show a good view of that. So he took this screw out. You see the ball on the end of that magnet he has there. So he dropped it in from that side, and I pushed it in with that filler.
look decent.
And you see me looking, I'm looking at, we have the manual open over here. It's got the larger piece you just put in there. And then the spring. And your bolt. Same kind of system over here. There was a spring at the end and then the bolt went in. There's just a different sequence that has to go in. So I was moving everything, making sure everything was shifting. Just run it through the gears, make sure it could shift.
This whole rod comes up.
Yeah, this will move up and down. Just like this one. There's a pin in there. This is going to move up. This whole rod's going to move up and down. So maybe it's stuck because of these.
This whole
Trying to figure out why this was not lining up properly. This is what a lot of the time we spent doing was sitting here thinking and trying to figure out where I messed up. So we had to start pulling it back apart. I think that's where it's going to end. Yeah, we got about 2 minutes left, but we put it all together and we ended up having to pull apart back up to this piece here, I do believe. And it ended up being one of these were upside down. I forget which one. But then everything fit together how it's supposed to, so. We're trying to get those balls and stuff out now, but basically it took us a lot of time to try to figure out what I did wrong, how to put everything back together correctly. Eventually we got it back together correctly and everything worked out fine. So I've been running this. By the way, this video was back in like late November 21, beginning of December. So the transmission's been back together for a while now, and I haven't had any issues. And those new synchros feel real smooth and everything like that too. So I've been in the middle of tuning the car. If you watched my last video that I posted recently, I'm still in the middle of tuning it, but I just wanted to hop on here and show some of the process I had been through. Obviously I don't have all the details on this because I didn't tape everything like a knucklehead, but at least you can see what I was going through. So I have one or two more videos I'm going to show you. Like I said, I buttoned this up, I put the halves back together, and everything was fine. So I'll show me putting the transmission back in the car. I ended up having to redo the oil pan too because it was leaking at one spot, so I'll show all that. But that'll be in the next video. If anybody's got any questions or comments or anything like that, just leave them below, and I'll try to answer the best I can. Again, this was my first time ever doing a transmission, so it was a good experience, And the more you know, right? So I'll see you guys next time.